It is Talking Reds Live. I'm Josh Sexton, joined today by Craig Hannan to react to some Liverpool news. First of all, what I want you to do if you're watching this on YouTube is drop a like on the video, click subscribe to the channel as well. If you're watching anywhere else, just drop us a comment. We'll be reading some of them out during the show. Drop us a like as well, and of course, share it with your mates. Craig, first and foremost, things I want to get stuck into are the training pictures from yesterday. This is basically a Rob Gutman special because we all know how much he likes to troll through the training pictures and see what he can take from it. There's a few sort of injury concerns, I'll say, but I think we'll leave that for the lads tomorrow who have to build up to the Arsenal game and pick those teams. I first of all want to touch on the return of Harvey Elliott, because it was so nice seeing him back in training, seeing him getting big Jurgen Klopp hugs and all that. It just made me feel warm inside, to be honest.
Absolutely, yeah. It was brilliant Tuesday content, wasn't it? Exactly what we needed, and I think, from just a human point of view, it's nice to see a young lad who's obviously overcome quite a nasty injury and very quickly as well. Like, at the time when we saw the pictures, we'd have taken him coming back mid-January, or at least starting first team training mid-January. So that's a massive plus. And I think he's 18 years old. You don't want to sort of put any pressure on him in terms of, we need him now because Salah and Mane's back. That won't be the case. By the time he's back and he's playing, both them two players will be back. The African nations will be over. They'll manage him back slowly, won't they? But it's brilliant, isn't it? It's just great, and it'll be, I think that'll be massive for him in terms of his development, because obviously he's missed out in 4 months of playing football. He's missed out on some big moments that he would have been involved in, and that obviously will play in his mind, and he'll have thought about that a lot. But in terms of character building, in terms of just getting himself to sort of appreciate where he's at and what he's done in his development so far, I think it'll be great for him mentally that he's been able to overcome this hurdle so early in his career.
Yeah, and you've mentioned the idea of sort of managing him back slowly, and that seems to be the message that has been coming out of the club, is that they are going to take their time with him, and it feels like the right thing to do, doesn't it? It was a nasty injury. Me and you were both at Leeds, and while it was a great win, it felt like the day was sort of marred by that injury, and it was such a blow at the point it was in Liverpool's season. But even you think about how the last few months have gone in terms of Liverpool's midfield options and things like that. It just feels like we could have done with him. So you do just want the club to err on the side of caution with this one, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you absolutely do, and I think they will. I think you're right. That was it was a brilliant away day until all of that happened, and it tarnished it a little bit, and especially for a player that we're so excited about, a player that's so young and so early in his career. And you would have seen him doing sort of big things in that 4 months that he's missed. But I fully expect him to come back and be at a level at the level that he was before. And I think you're right. I just think there needs to be a bit of, we're excited about the pictures, but needs to be a bit of sort of calm perspective and understand that it's a young kid that's been out for so long, and we can't be looking to him to sort of, I was about to say rescue the season, because that's not true. We're still in 3 cups. We're going all right in the league, but you want him to be coming into an environment where he's able to do 5 minutes, and then he's able to do 15 minutes, and then he's able to get a half an hour under his belt, and then maybe a cup game, and build up to the moment where towards the end of the season you can hopefully make a real impact in Liverpool's season.
Yeah, and one of the other sort of notable faces from the returns to training was Nat Phillips, and it's quite an interesting one with Nat Phillips. Really, we'll come on to talk about where his future sort of lies at the club, Craig. But if you think about how the past few weeks have gone in terms of Liverpool rotating sides and playing weakened teams, it feels like a bit of a blow for Nat that he sustained that injury at the San Siro. Obviously, he got his big moment in the San Siro with whatever that turn was, but that's like one of the great Champions League moments. Now he's solidified in history there. But it does feel like a blow that he suffered that injury, because there could have been opportunities for him over the past month, and you can't help but think that before the end of the month he might be moving away now.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've said it before. I think the right time for Nat Phillips to move on was in the summer, and that's been proven by the fact that he's not got many games at all. I think he's got 4 starts, and they've all been sort of cup games, and I think that particularly off the back of what he did last season, and that progression that we saw game by game, you saw the confidence growing in him. And then, it's sort of, you see it at the San Siro, he comes up against Milan and he's doing that. That's, he's shown teams that he's good enough at this level. And so, I'll be happy for him to get a move. I really hope he does this January, because I just think it's the best for everyone. We've seen Joe Gomez find it so difficult this season to get anywhere near playing. We've got a wealth of options at centre back, so Nat isn't going to get a look in, unfortunately. And like you say, it is a bit of a shame, particularly the League Cup games and the FA Cup game recently. You would have got a start probably in those. And he's a footballer that we all trust, and that's the best thing you can say about any footballer, isn't it? That no matter who we're playing, we trust him. It's just that he's not at that level to do the things. He doesn't have the skill set that Liverpool ask of their defenders, and what they ask is a lot. We see that from Van Dijk, we see that from Matip game after game, and obviously Konate coming in as well.
Yeah, he's like Mick at our five-a-sides, isn't he? In terms of playing defence for Liverpool, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to be getting on with, a lot of jobs to do, tracking back and all that kind of thing. And if you can't defend, you can get in goal. The interesting one on Nat Phillips and the sort of transfer rumours surrounding him, Craig, is Neil Jones has put a little thing out this morning, sort of saying there's a few clubs who've been interested. He's still expected to leave before the transfer window ends, and Liverpool seem to sort of see him as expendable, if you want to call that. That sounds a little bit harsh, really. But Watford have had a loan to buy offer already turned down. Napoli are one of the teams that are interested, which I'm absolutely made up with. And West Ham and Burnley have also apparently shown interest in him. And it seems as though Liverpool are set to recall Rhys Williams on loan from Swansea as well, who's had a bit of a torrid time there at Swansea, not getting much game time and stuff, and sort of seeing him come back in. And to be honest, Craig, I'm getting flashbacks of last season and him and Nat with the bandages and the cuts and all those kinds of things. It feels like I was going to say we're edging close towards that. I suppose we're not, because Nat might be on the way out. But I suppose, if you think about in terms of future at the club, as you were saying there, Rhys Williams feels like someone who's got a far higher ceiling than Nat Phillips does.
I don't know. What do you say? Rhys Williams has a higher ceiling than Nat Phillips? Did you think?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest. I think I know Nat Phillips is a couple of years older, and he's been around the block a bit in terms of going off to Germany and coming back, and he saw like a mad renaissance that we never would have seen. I think from what I've seen of Nat Phillips of Rhys Williams, and what I've heard from his time at Swansea, and the way he has struggled, and I still think he's a footballer that Liverpool will be looking to get rid of. I know that sounds awful to say. I don't mean it in that. I just mean he's a footballer that they might keep around for 6 months if he's coming back from his loan spell, just in case of some sort of mad injury crisis towards the end of the season. But that's with the expectation that he won't play. And so I think if Rhys Williams is able to do what Nat Phillips has done over the past year, then he'll get himself a really good move at some stage. But I just don't see it being likely. I know that's a bit sort of doom mongering and not the positive answer that you wanted, really. But that's sort of my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say you'd probably change your tune if he was Northern Irish lad, wouldn't you? But
a little bit biased, just a little bit.
No, to be fair, there's some sort of agreement with you in the comments here. Phil past 79 says Williams is too slow to make it at Liverpool, which I don't know if that's totally fair. I think there's still a chance that he does make it Liverpool. I think he's got a lot of the attributes there, particularly in terms of his leadership. He showed a lot of leadership at sort of under 23s level and that kind of thing. And I think that sort of thing doesn't go amiss at Liverpool. And Rick Whitelam as well says he loves Nat, but he's been a joy to watch. But he's got to go and play somewhere, and I think that is absolutely fair enough as well. Yeah. Craig, in terms of other transfer stuff, then we are going to be recording a gutter later on today, which is one of our transfer subscription shows where Rob Gutman, as I mentioned at the start, will be trawling through all the latest Liverpool transfer rumours, getting deep and down into the gutter, into the transfer gutter, and finding out all those rumours, so that we don't have to talk about them on here. So if you aren't an Anfield Wrap subscriber, you can download our smartphone app, which is free on Android and iOS. iOS and Android, and you can get free tokens to play around with some of our premium content there and all that good stuff. And then hopefully you'll stick around after that as well. But Craig, in terms of some of those links that Gutman may be getting stuck into there, we've had a Piercy alarm coming in overnight on the Twitter, or yesterday on the Twitter anyway, that Jarrod Bowen has been someone who has been catching Liverpool's eye. Liverpool seem to believe that he is the profile of player that Liverpool could be doing with. And I'm really interested in that, because whenever I watch Jarrod Bowen play, and I think particularly in the game against Liverpool, I think he's been really bright, and he's someone that I could see fitting into Liverpool's system. He might not be a name that necessarily inspires, and I think there's a few people in the comments who are sort of saying that he's not a name that is exactly getting them out of bed in the morning. But I think in terms of the player, the profile of player, he fits Liverpool.
Yeah, to be honest, they've he's probably made us all look a bit silly. In the summer when he was linked with Liverpool, everyone was a bit like, what? And it wasn't that name that we were hoping for. And he's gone on to he's pushed up a level this season. I think he's got 8 goals, 8 assists in all competitions. And like you say, when you see him, he's bright. He scored against Chelsea, he scored against Spurs. He looks the kind of mold and kind of fit that Liverpool have gone after in the same style as Jota, where you look at it as like a sweet spot signing, someone that they can sign just before his trajectory jumps to a different level. And I think we've seen that with Jarrod Bowen. I'm interested to see over the next 6 months whether that continues and whether whether he finishes the season with, say, 15 goals and 12 assists or something, because then that is, those are numbers that Liverpool look to and think, well, if we can put him in a better side with better players, that'll go up again. And I think that's what they've done with even Salah and Mane going right back as well. So, I think same with the summer. It's still not that big signing. It's still not that Champions League player. It's not a Diaz because he's, he's playing in the Champions League and he has all the flair and it looks exciting and it sounds exciting. It's obviously not the Bellinghams or I've seen a few in the comments mentioning those kind of players, and they're the players that always come up. But in terms of what Jurgen Klopp asks of his wingers or his forwards, Jarrod Bowen seems to fit, and it'll be interesting because he plays right for West Ham, doesn't he? And so it must be, unless they look at him and have decided based on his skill set and based on his attributes that they can move him somewhere else and get the best out of him there. He's still going to have Mo Salah ahead of him, but then in a situation like we're in right now, Jarrod Bowen wouldn't be a bad second choice if Salah's away.
Yeah, and it feels like, as you say, he can or has been playing on the right side for West Ham, it feels like he's got a bit of that versatility, and that's something that Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool have clearly been looking for in a load of the players. And you mentioned Diogo Jota, and he feels like the sort of Diogo Jota profile to me of someone who comes in with Premier League pedigree, and that is something that Jurgen Klopp emphasised when Jota first arrived, is that he has that Premier League pedigree. He's already performed at this level, he scored goals at this level, and as you say before, Jarrod Bowen is a player who is already doing that. He's already scoring goals at this level. He's already impressing at this level, and I feel like he's got a bit of that versatility, and that's why, to my mind at least, I could definitely see him fitting into a Jurgen Klopp Liverpool team.
Yeah, and also the fact that he's been on a bit of a journey. So he's obviously come from Hereford and then Hull, and he's worked his way up. I mean, West Ham signed him for 25 million, by the way. So I don't see it being this cheap deal. I know the Athletic mentioned about 3 or 4 months ago that if he was going to go, he'd go for no less than 35. I think now those numbers will continue to go up, and I wonder whether it gets to this stage where they look at it and go, maybe it's a bit too expensive, or whether they're already speaking with West Ham and they already know a figure that they think they'll get them at. They might even think he's worth more than that. I'm not sure, but one thing that the recruitment scene have been really good at is even at times when you think, oh, is that 5 million too much? Is that 10 million too much? The likes of Jota, for instance, I looked at it at the time and it was a bit, I'm happy we're bringing in someone, but I'm just not too sure. And then, he's brilliant. He sort of propels himself to new heights. And I think they probably see the same from Jarrod Bowen. The fact that he's a homegrown player as well makes all the difference. It's not just a case of, he's Premier League proven like Jota was, and he can come in and rip it up straight away. It's also the fact that we're low in those. We could do with as many of those as possible, and so that obviously brings the premium up. And yeah, the other name that's mentioned, Diaz, where it's like, he's that kind of FIFA signing. He's a signing we've watched in the Champions League. We've seen him score the goals and everything. He's come from Porto. It just feels a bit more like exotic and exciting. But we'll see.
We're getting really mixed reviews here in the comments. Swedish Power says, please, not Bowen. Derek Laguerre says, Bowen doesn't look quick/fit enough to me. Maybe Jurgen and Pep and co can work on that. Nick Taller says that he thinks Jarrod Bowen will be a star under Klopp. And there's just basically a lot of interaction in the comments today, which is good to see. It's a bit of a little Anfield Wrap community building over here. And speaking of Anfield Wrap communities, Craig, we have obviously been working with a company called Leveler, building a little Anfield Wrap community over on Telegram, which is a messaging app, building a few sort of group chats over there where people can interact with each other, Liverpool fans can interact with each other and that kind of thing. But also we're sharing all sorts of Liverpool news, just like the sort of stuff you see us reacting to on here. So get over there and do that. We'll make sure there's a link in the comments of this video over on YouTube. So you get over there, click on that link, download Telegram, and come and be a part of the Anfield Wraps community. But with that, I think that's about all we've got time for, Craig. A few sort of transfer bits there. As I mentioned, we've got a gutter recording today. We'll be doing all of our build up to Arsenal as well. So download the Anfield Wrap app again. Make sure you get your free tokens and get stuck into all the content. But nice one to Craig and nice one for watching.